Welcome to issue 258 of Critical Encounters, a podcast about Marvel Champions, a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. Here we take a look at the most critical piece of the game, the encounter sets. We'll discuss those poorly understood characters, unfairly labeled villains, and their various plans to shape humanity and benefit the planet, as well as those so-called heroes intent on thwarting them. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron, and joining me tonight is Daniel.
Hello, welcome, sir. Glad to have you.
Thanks, yeah. And Scott.
Hello, welcome. We're very excited you're here.
And Steve.
Hello, Aaron. Oh boy, we got another person in the lair tonight. This is exciting. Exciting.
Crowded lair.
Yeah.
And that was beautifully read.
I was going to say,
very beautiful.
The intro was fantastically done for no rehearsal. That was incredible, Aaron.
I've just been practicing it over and over again. That's what you don't know, yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Clearly a long-time
listener
listener of the show, Daniel. He just has to
That's right.
Yes.
Long-time listener, first-time caller, yeah.
Nice. Well, before we get to our special fourth voice on the show, Daniel, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what is on your mind tonight.
Oh, Steve, so many different things, but I know we have very little time. So I'm reminded that one of our all-time favorite Norwegians reached out to us, Stig.
Yes.
And he asked a very funny question that I thought was quite charming. He was speculating on the fifth villain from the box, right?
As of this recording, we do not know who it is.
We don't know, right? We don't know.
Right.
So Stig had a thought. He said, "Could it be Mike?" I mean, that never occurred to me until tonight.
I mean, where did Mike go?
Is that why he left?
Yeah, could be. Could be.
He's the super villain in the shield box.
Yeah.
So Stig, you really kind of shook my world with that one. So thank you. Thank you.
We can't disprove it, so it must be true.
Must be true. Yep.
That's right. Someone
true.
said it on the internet, making it profoundly true.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll write it in Sharpie.
Yeah. So Stig, thanks for reaching out. Haven't heard from you in a while. It's great to read your name. So yeah, that's what's on my mind, is that Mike left us for villainy.
Well, you know what though?
What's that?
So as of tonight, when we are recording,
Okay.
I believe tomorrow our very special guest here is going to be on stream and might have revealed the fifth villain. So we should probably figure out who this is that read that intro for us.
We should.
We know his first name is Aaron, and I believe his last name is Haltom. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay,
Haltom.
I said it right. Yes.
You said it correctly, yes.
All right. So everybody, we welcome you to later, but really we want to know, who are you? Who is Aaron? What would you say you do here?
Well, I make games, mostly I mostly make cards all day long, which is pretty great. I work for Fantasy Flight Games. I've been there about 7 years now, and pretty much have worked on almost all the card games. About any FFG card game I've touched, and Descent Legends also.
That's awesome.
But currently I'm full-time on Marvel Champions, which is great. I started on Champions, like Galaxy's Most Wanted. I helped out a little bit, and then I play tested for a while with them, and have kind of popped in and out of the game. But I got pulled onto other games because I'm kind of a jack of all trades there. I'm constantly getting moved from game to game. But hopefully I'm on Champions for a long while now. I've been able to actually tuck into the current wave that we're designing that is unannounced stuff. But yeah.
So, yeah, and we will talk about that wave in 2028.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, folks.
Right.
Okay, so you're a designer at FFG and you've worked on lots of stuff. I'm curious. So you're working on Marvel Champions now, but what are some of the other games? Where would we see your name from? Do you have anything you're really proud of? A piece of FFG board game or other card game that you've done?
Yeah, I started on Star Wars Destiny with Jeremy Zwern, and did the last 4 sets of that game, and I worked on Keyforge. I worked on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th sets for that. Uh, and then I worked on Descent, Legends of the Dark, and Arkham Horror the card game, and now Marvel Champions. Yeah. I think that was the whole gamut. It's so many games.
Right.
That's a big run.
Yeah, I've bounced around between a ton of things. I'm pretty proud of the Scarlet Keys that I did on Arkham, and
Good, yeah.
yeah.
Now,
one of
the
my
stuff you're doing for Descent, is that on the app side of things or the physical aspect of it?
That was a lot of the app side. It involved a lot of, like programming, so it
Gotcha.
was
Wow,
it
that is
definitely-
really you're versatile. Right on.
yeah, definitely stretched
Okay.
my expertise. Yeah, we're designing the encounters, but that involves a little bit of like the design side, a little bit of the playtest side, but most of our workload was actually programming things in Unity,
Okay.
which was yeah a weird challenge. So now I got that on my old resume, I guess.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
You know what we need for Marvel Champions is now an app. You've got both pedigrees. There we go. We can have an app.
Don't you put that evil on me?
A solo app-driven campaign.
Hello, app-driven
Yeah.
campaign or something.
Yeah. I could not program a Marvel
That's
app though.
So you said you've been there for 7 years. That means you are past the 5-year art piece. Do you have a 5-year art piece of yourself?
I do, yeah. Yeah, it was done by Ario Murti, who does mostly like Descent Legends stuff. It was when I was working on Descent, so it's in that sort of fantasy style. I'm like a wizard who's made a steampunk mouse and is bringing it to life, and I got to have our cat take part in it as well. So our cat is like watching me enchant this mouse and is very excited for it to come to life. So she'll have a toy to play with. Yeah.
Oh,
very
nice.
cute.
super cool.
That's so cool.
I'll make sure to put that art in the YouTube version of the show so people can take a look at it.
Oh yeah, I'll have to send it to you. Yeah.
Yes, please do. Please do.
I'm curious. So you have. It sounds like you have a fairly diverse background. So what brought you into the gaming industry? Like, when did you make that step into gaming?
I've always loved games growing up and been obsessed with them. In grad school, I kind of played games so much that it was affecting my studies, and so I eventually dropped out of grad school. But I also made an indie game in the meantime, and I was involved in like the board game groups there, and I made my own indie game and made presentations about it and showed it to people and started playtesting and all that sort of thing. And then after grad school, I got a day job as like a copywriter, but I was doing this game design, as an indie game designer on the side on my own. And so I self-published my own game and was like shopping it around to cons and stuff. And then we moved up here for my wife's job, and then I come to find out I was living like 40 minutes away from FFG, and I was like a total fanboy about them already at that point. So I have to work there. So I applied to work there over and over again until I wore them down. And, yeah. I didn't know anybody or play test or anything. I just inundated them with my resume until they eventually learned that I was not going to leave them alone.
Not
I
gonna
guess.
go away.
That's
Tenacity.
That's comforting, because a lot of the origin stories that we've heard so far in our interviews are like, well, I knew a guy who knew a guy, and then I found myself in this convention and talked to this guy, and it was like, seems like magical happenstance for everybody. So it's good to know that, like, no, just throw your resume at them 1,000 times till it sticks. Works.
That's right.
Dedication.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Aaron, I've heard a rumor that some people who play this game like know about the lore and that they've heard of these characters and stuff and have read these things called comics. Now, do you read the comics? Do you know what this stuff is about?
Comic books? Yeah. I have read some comics myself. I've downloaded all the comic lore mostly from my dad because he is a comic book nerd from way back and owns like a million comic books. So he'll just like instead of telling me bedtime stories, he would just be like, "I'm going to tell you the Infinity Gauntlet." And like whenever we were
That's awesome.
on road trips or whatever, he's just like he's just downloading or Marvel lore on me all the time. So I kind of got most of my knowledge secondhand that way. But of course I did start reading some of the books also and like watching all the movies and watching the original X-Men cartoon was my jam growing up for sure. And yeah, and I would collect all the old trading cards, the Marvel masterpieces and stuff like that. So I was kind of obsessed with making those cards into a Marvel card game before they were actually a game. Like I saw
Oh,
they
nice.
all had stats on the back of them, and was like, how do I make these fight each other? You know what I mean? Like, why is there not a game about this already? So
Right.
yeah, it was a
That's really
precursor to
awesome.
what I would be doing now. Yeah.
Destiny here.
Yeah, talk about getting nurtured for the job, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second
So out of
generation.
all those comics and characters, do you have a favorite like comic run or
Or TV show, or
Infinity War probably my favorite comic run, or that one's kind of old. That's my favorite old old comic. Immortal Hulk's probably my favorite newish thing that I've read. Yeah.
ooh, yeah,
Mhm.
cool?
And I watch all the TV shows. Yeah. I mean, X-Men '97 is my jam lately. Yeah.
Chef's
that-
kiss.
That was
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. I actually went back and watched the whole regular X-Men stuff in order to prep for it, and it was time well spent. So
Yeah.
okay, so you liked Infinity War, you've read a lot of stuff, watched all the shows, but you must have a favorite villain out of Marvel because we are the villains here, and we appreciate their hard work and their tenacity. So, do you have a favorite villain out of the Marvel universe?
Yeah. I'd go with Magneto just because he's more well-rounded and sympathetic than than most villains. Yeah, I mean he still goes too far, but you definitely understand where he's coming from. Yeah. He's definitely been wronged and deserves his vengeance, right?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you guys even went so far as to make a set of hero cards for him.
Yeah.
That's how
What
misunderstood.
happened there?
I know.
Righteous vengeance.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
this is unheard of. Unheard of.
Too many Magneto fanboys over at FFG. That's all, and fangirls too. I mean, both.
Yeah. So Magneto out of the comics and stuff, but what about in our game? Do you have a villain that you prefer in the game, and maybe not one that you helped design even?
Yeah.
You helped design a couple villains at least, right?
Yeah.
Or at least one.
that's true.
One.
At
Yeah.
least one.
One so far, yeah, but more coming, obviously.
Yeah, published, I should say.
Or-
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, one
Yes.
published and a couple that I'm working on right now that I can't talk about. But yeah, like I think Apocalypse, the Insabanur version, is my favorite in-game villain because I love the transform mechanic, the three-sided villain. I was a sucker for that with like Ant-Man and Wasp as well. And in like Forge, we did gigantic creatures, which are two creatures that are two cards combined into one. I always
Yeah. I remember those.
love the table impact of that. Yeah. It's
Yeah, that was funny because you had to
it makes-
like you put them
Yeah.
next to each other to fill one picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Aaron, you're playing the game pretty regularly?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
excellent.
mean, I have to now for my job, but
That's right.
and I was a lot when I was playtesting in like 2019, 2020, kind of the before time. And then I got moved off of Champions for a while, and when I was working on all these other games, I fell out of it a little bit. I wasn't playing as often. But I did manage to play, most of the campaigns at home, just not as religiously as I have while I'm on the game. Yeah.
Got it.
So, out of what you've played, do you have like a a favorite villain or mod set combo that you go back to time and time again just because you love it so much? Or is there like a standard one that you just love the way it's already designed? Or maybe you kind of mished and matched them in your own way that you really enjoy?
I tend to play them pre-constructed, as I tend to play the suggested modular sets, and um, just like let them play as they are intended to, take the recommendations and play. I like Venom a lot, like I said, I like playing Apocalypse a lot with their suggested mod sets, but I also I like to occasionally throw in the Doomsday Chair or the
Ooh-da.
Kree Fanatics just to spice things up, just to kick things up a notch. Whenever I'm getting too comfortable doing good with my deck, I'll I'll give myself a challenge that way. And I also like when I was playtesting the Ebony Maw, I would combo him with other mod sets like the Hydra ones that come with lots of guard minions. Yeah, they're good for giving him more time to do his thing. So yeah, I do a little bit of the tinkering like that, but generally I play the precons actually. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
so
that. I've done the exact same thing with Ebony Maw to try to
Oh yeah,
stall, so you can't
nice.
rush him down. I love that.
Yeah.
and Ebony Maw is one that you helped design, correct? Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did initial design for that. I came up with the whole, having time counters that tick down until the invocations can pop off. I thought that would be a fun like tempo challenge, and well, it was also thematically to try and make him feel like impending doom. You know what I mean? It was like he's gonna throw a lot at you, but you're gonna get to see it and dread it before it actually falls down on you. So. Yeah, I was going for that sort of vibe, but I worked on Galaxy's Most Wanted, so I also did Rocket and Groot initial design, and I think it was during that same period I did initial design for War Machine and Valkyrie. Like we were starting to playtest Galaxy's Most Wanted, and then like 2020 happened, and everything kind of got reset. I got pulled onto other games, and didn't get to finish out all the development cycle for all those initial designs that I popped off. But
So, Aaron, you've used that phrase a lot here in the last minute or so. This idea of the initial design. Can you talk about the whole process of designing Groot or any of the heroes or whatever you design? What does it mean specifically to say the initial design, and then what happens kind of after that? And what control do you have, or is it sort of out your door kind of thing? Just talk a little bit about the process, please.
yeah, so initial designs. First things first. We just sit down and think about thematically what are all the cards that should be in this hero's kit. So like Cap has to have his shield, that's non-negotiable, that is a thematic top-down thing that belongs in the kit. So we try to outline most of that stuff before we even necessarily have mechanical ideas for how things work. And then we do our sort of first pass of what we think the character's shtick's going to be, and we tend to design the whole kit based, off of that, precipitating off of that, top down.
Now, is that a group thing? So when you say initial design, it's like a couple of people doing that, or is this initial design happen post conversation and then like you take a stab at it?
We'll generally split it up and do those solo.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll generally say, we've agreed as a group what the content is for the wave we're doing, like what heroes we're doing. That's more of a group decision usually, and then when it's time to start designing a specific hero, it's generally more like we hand it to one designer and they go off in the corner and
Awesome. Okay.
think about everything. So, yeah, for Groot, it was me, coming up with thinking of all the cards that he has, and so like he should have this like fine shield, and he should have the moment where he heals everybody, and he should
Now wait,
have
hold on a second. Hold on a second. like most of Groot's cards are just called "I am Groot." How
Yeah.
hard was it to come up with those ones?
Yeah.
Now,
That did-
Steve.
that
Okay.
made the tackling.
Yeah, I mean they have different punctuation and capitalization and stuff, but yeah. I think that actually was thematic genius that all his events are just called "I am Groot." So
Yeah,
It really
you
is.
just don't speak Flora Colossus. Otherwise, you would know that those are all very different card titles.
Indeed.
Totally distinct.
Your linguistic diversity is really lack of linguistic diversity is really showing here, Steve.
oh, I'm sorry. I know, like one of them is like "I'm about to squish you," and the other one is like "Let's clear that threat over there." But yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, back the design process for characters tends to be like we come up with what the cards do. We come up with what the cards should be, then we come up with what the cards do, and get the first design down, and then we play test it, and that can change a lot. But at a certain point, we also have to write art briefs for everything, and sort of when we're settled on what the titles are and what the art briefs are, those kind of get locked in, and that also locks us in to some degree with what the card effects can do. We can still change it, but we got to change it in a way that would work with the card art still at that point. At a certain point, the art is settled, and that means that we can't be too radical in our in our revisions of things. So the first couple months of design are like initial design, because that's when we can still be pretty radical about, like, if our first attempt at a design just isn't clicking at all, we can totally start from square one, go with a whole new stick for the character, which we do pretty often.
You take your initial design, bring it back to committee. What's the percentage of initial design survival rate for a hero? If you know what I mean, like after it's gone through its first play tests and the committees and such, like what comes out the other end? How close is it to the original design?
I'd say it's maybe like 30-40% chance that it didn't get completely overhauled.
Wow.
And like everything gets overhauled to a minor degree.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Everything gets tweaked to some degree, but some things get completely square one. Like since we've been talking about Groot a lot, he's a good example, because I think the first ability that I wanted to do with him was he would have to gain growth counters in his alter ego before he could transform to hero form. So it was like it would take you time to loiter around in alter ego and grow before you could be hero form, and then his hero form was just gangbusters. But that's got shot down because it was going to be really hard to balance for sure, but also it was like kind of against the design ethos of Champions,
Sure.
of having
I get that.
given players the agency to be able to flip when they want to, is an important thing. Just in general, not having too harsh of drawbacks like that. Like that was very, prescriptive of what your play style would be if you weren't able to be hero for several rounds.
Got it.
I could see that alter ego side being like baby Groot, and the other side was gigantic Groot, right? So
right,
yeah.
Well, that's an interesting like design mechanic idea. So do you have, when you go in designing a hero or a scenario, do you have like various goals for complexity like that, or difficulty for different, maybe different characters are more complex or more difficult than others? Do you have something like that in mind when you design?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like the core set especially, everybody had to be as low complexity as possible, and the difficulty had to start absolutely on the floor, but then it got to ramp up. Ultron is actually pretty hard. And I think most campaigns are similar. Like the complexity and difficulty of most villains starts fairly low, but then both of them get to ramp up. I think the complexity for the heroes that go in like a campaign box tends to be we aim a little lower on the complexity budget there than we do on a hero pack, because a hero pack can be as wacky as you want to. It's an opt-in type purchase, but we want to keep the campaign box heroes a little lower on the complexity end, so they're not making a barrier to entry to anybody being able to enjoy that campaign box, basically. Yeah.
Wait a minute, wasn't Shadowcat one of the campaign ones?
Yeah. But also Hawkeye, who we all know is basic. So
Fair.
yeah.
All right, you balance those two together, I guess. They would.
Yeah.
All right.
There's definite exceptions, yeah. These are the aspirational goals, but
Sure.
yeah.
And I guess later campaigns can be maybe more tricky. Like Domino's got some tricks about her and stuff. So
Yeah.
um,
A lot of it's top down too. Like if you're playing if you're designing a bruisery type character, they tend to not be as complex. So even if they, are the one that thematically we want to be in the campaign box, or not, we could do a
Yeah.
simple bruiser type character in a hero pack, and that would break that general trend. And we can also do somebody like Shadowcat in the campaign box is gonna have to be more complex because, like, to do Shadowcat justice, she's gotta have modes, right? Yeah, she's got to do the phasing thing. Yeah.
I feel you missed the emotional landscape possible with Hulk, but okay, I get it. Seemed very one-dimensional. Cool.
He's always angry though.
Always.
He is. You do Groot and Rocket, and you work on a little bit of Valkyrie and War Machine and Ebony Maw and things like that. And then you take a break, right? You're working on other stuff, and you're not necessarily like a designer on the game. Maybe you're helping out in those sort of things. And now 5 years goes by, or whatever it might be, 5 years worth of product at least that has been made. What is it like stepping into Marvel Champions now with it so far along in its life, with guys like Caleb and Boggs and Tony, and now what do you have, Frank and MJ worked on Black Widow, and you have all these different people. What's it like stepping into this game now after it's been moving along for so long?
It's a little daunting that there's so much content now. Yeah, there was a lot to catch up on. So I'm glad that I had history with it and that I continued to play it as a fan. So I wasn't totally overwhelmed coming into it, but it still was a bit to wrap my head around. And I'm glad that we have like a really good group of playtesters that have really helped me like fine tune my balance instincts as well. Yeah, they're more in tune with the deck building than I am. Of like how to make this character really good, and which characters are the sort of the top of the heap, and which aspect cards are the top of the heap, and that sort of thing. It lets me really level set for moving forward. So that helped me shortcut. It gave me a good like guide to the content that I hadn't maybe been paying as much attention to. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I bet some of those guys play the game more than you do, and you make the game. So,
Yeah.
And when you're writing art briefs all the time and like spending an hour on on one card, you don't have as much time to get as many games down anymore. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
So like looking back at the stuff that you've done, we talked about some of the things you did in Marvel Champions. How do you feel about it now, based on kind of as you've been getting back into designing? And obviously we don't know, we haven't seen the stuff that you're working on now, but we know you've been working for a little while now on it. Looking back at some of those previous designs, how happy are you with like the designs you did? Are there ones that you're like, maybe if I were approaching it now, I might have approached it a little differently, or maybe that's informed how you're designing now?
Yeah, it definitely has. I think a lot. I think most of my designs all share a similar story of they're doing something really cool, and they have like a really good hook, but they they're not developed to the level of like they're performing very well for players. A lot of the heroes ended up underpowered, I think, because they had a little too much weakness in them, a little too much, sort of top-down limitations that I put on them. So I think I've learned from that process that this time I'm coming back at it, and I'm still trying to create very thematic designs for the characters that feel like the characters, but also listen to the playtesters and get the heroes to easier and more fun and more powerful sort of place than they.
Aaron, there's nothing wrong with a kit of 15 weak cards. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Don't make
That's
those heroes
just
more
fine.
powerful.
That's
Oh
just
boy.
fine.
You
Yeah.
don't stand a chance, guys.
To be fair, some of your designs have been some of my favorites, largely because of their theme. And, there's also kind of some themes in the use of tech and or cards on the table and counters and things like that were very unique to your designs. We hadn't seen that before you, right? Before some of those ones that you helped do. So I think it's really cool how you brought that into the game. We've seen a lot of elaboration on those themes of how to build or have counters that you have to spend on your cards. So you're sort of managing multiple resources. And that was a new thing with Groot and War Machine. And I love both of those characters. Groot was in my top 3 for a very, very long time. I still absolutely have a blast. Even if they aren't always the most successful, I definitely feel like you definitely hit on that theme piece so well with some of those designs. So I love them. I think you did a fantastic job.
Yeah, and I think coming from some of them, I've also worked on competitive games before, and that sort of informs my mindset to a degree of like, if a character is not strong, they're not good. But one of the beautiful things about Champions is like, just play who you like to play, and we'll figure out how the deck can come from there, and you can make the deck as optimized or not as you care to. But this game's such a thematically driven game. It's a lot more important that they are doing the thing that they should be doing and feeling like who they should feel like than that they're the most powerful character, for sure.
Yeah, I agree very much with that. We talked about theme versus mechanics on a recent show, and we all agreed like it's the theme that keeps us going in the game. So keep up the good theme work with the characters.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's okay if the heroes are a little underpowered for us poor villains. Yeah.
You got to get some wins sometimes.
Right.
Right. So following up on my question kind of about how you sort of incorporating those previous designs, we've seen Caleb, Boggs, and Tony, and obviously soon we'll get to see some of Frank's design style. I'm curious how your design style differs from theirs, and in what ways maybe you complement their design style with yours. Like, are you rounding out sort of a team with some of the different styles you have?
Yeah, I like to think so. I am probably closest in my design instincts to Caleb, I think, because he's also very top-down thematic, and he also values simplicity and elegance a lot, like trying to communicate the character in as few words as possible. And a card should do one thing, not actually 3 different things all crammed into the single card. So I also try to embody that simplicity and elegance, and approach the cards from a pretty top down theme first perspective. And I think most of us are that way to a degree. I think that's a strong like stream of our design, is that we all love Marvel and are really trying to make the theme come through and everything. I think maybe Tony is the most different in terms of doing more complex things. He likes to have lots of working pieces, and yeah, those can also be super fun designs, but they're maybe not as straightforward. So we tend to like, I think that we know that about ourselves. We're like, we tend to give Tony the more complex designs, and give me the simpler designs. And I think, and Frank is kind of maybe a little bit in between. Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's great for the players because we get to have a bunch of different styles, and everybody's play style is a little different. People playing the game will, I think, be able to resonate with your design or Tony's design or Frank's or whatever. It's nice to be able to have different options and choices instead of everything's always the same. Like Daniel hates when I take a 20-minute turn because I have 15 cards on the table. He just wants to play an event and punch something, right? And it's like, nah, I gotta turn 7 cards sideways to do like 2 points of damage or whatever. But
It's not just the
everyone's-
15 on the table. It's you also somehow draw 15 on that same turn.
Yeah,
I know
well,
Steve will take the most straightforward hero like Thor and turn it into a 20-minute turn.
yeah,
That's incredible. It's a gift, really.
it's a gift.
It's a gift
Yeah.
that really keeps on giving.
Yeah,
And a curse for the
over
rest
and
of us.
over and over. Yeah. But
Like I'm glad we could all be gathered here so you can watch me play solitaire for 14 minutes.
Yep. That's exactly right.
yeah. On a side note, being gathered, are you going to be at Con of Heroes coming up in May? Are you going to be
Yeah.
around?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get a game in. Let's get a game in. So
Yeah, that'd
For
be
sure.
really exciting.
yeah, we're gonna all be there, so that'll be fun. So
It'll be my first one, but I'm excited for it. Yeah.
My first two.
Nice.
yeah, Daniel and I have been before. We've been to Lord the Con of the Rings as well. So it's always a good time seeing I love seeing the people from FFG come and meeting the community and playing like way more games. You know, my wife says, "Wait, you're gonna play Marvel Champions for 4 days straight, nonstop?" I'm like, yes, we are." So
I took apart most of my decks, so I have to build a bunch more in preparation for sure.
there's time. There's time.
Mhm.
So 3 designers on the line now. You watched the fireside chat where you guys talked about, the future of the game. That sounds real exciting. Anything else that you can add, or you can tease us, or make us, crazy about what's coming up? Are you excited? What's happening with this game? Right? I mean, there's a pretty great stream, and I would love to know more.
Hopefully he's excited.
Yeah, we're definitely excited. Yeah, now that there's 3 of us, we can pick the cadence back up to like the levels that we kind of always intended it to be at, right? And clearly with just Caleb and Boggs, it was hard to keep up to that goal cadence. So mostly we're just trying to get back up to that goal cadence and make consistent content for people to play and enjoy. And I think the current environment is not really a thing yet, but it's something that we're thinking about now and designing towards. So it'll be really cool, moving forward as we now that we're like taking that into account. We should be able to develop a current environment that feels good.
I'm excited for that. Having played from the start, having all the content already and everything, and seeing what's going to happen, and being able to get people into the game at newer points, and they don't have to go back and buy everything and all that kind of stuff like you guys were talking about, sounds real exciting. I mean, just keep making Marvel Champions, right? I mean, just that's all we want. So
Yeah. Yeah, that was also, part of what it was about. Obviously, is just sustainability. Just like this is the plan that we think we could do forever. The current plan we probably couldn't do forever. Honestly, yeah, it's just untenable to stock everything forever. So as much as we would like to provide that for people, yeah, we had to start retiring some things. So yeah, I think we're making the best of how to move forward in an exciting way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, because it's not like folks were sitting there thinking, we really just wish players didn't have access to something anymore. It's more like we're
Right.
really excited for what we're making, and we're trying to make sure that we can continue moving forward without getting overly weighed down with the logistics of a long-running game, right? And in looking forward into the future, when you're looking really far in the future, that's really exciting to think about. You're really planning for a long lifespan on the game, and how do we juggle that with our logistics while also wanting to keep our design fresh and engaging and easy to get into. So I think that's really cool.
Mhm. Yeah, and doing doing new versions of the old heroes will be fun for us and exciting for
Right.
for the fans. I think hopefully, I know there are some that people have long hoped for an overhaul on anyway. So we'll try to get around to those heroes, sooner than later, and hopefully people will be happy to have new exciting versions of these heroes anyway. And
Yeah,
uh,
you guys can finally make a Doctor Strange that's good.
yeah,
Oh, shots fired.
at long last, yeah.
At long last.
Well, Steve, that nefarious comment of yours is a great lead into our silly theme category time.
Yeah, I think we're there.
And we're all about the villains. We love villains. We're pro villainy here on this podcast. And everyone we bring in from FFG, one question we always ask them is like, you've got to have one hero in the game that you just love hearing stories of them getting thrashed by somebody. Who is that hero for you? Who's the one you're like, just pound it, beat him up, do it, do your best.
Probably Deadpool. Yeah, he's
Okay.
he's so cocky and mouthy, but also he's immortal and bounces back from everything. So he's kind of like the a weeble wobble that's fun to beat up, right?
If only
The
he's
fun never
stayed down.
ends. Yeah. You can keep beating them up, Daniel. So
That's true.
yeah. All right. So on the flip side of that, which villain is just so cool that you would totally love to just like get into a battle against, like, right? You go toe to toe with.
Galactus is pretty cool, pretty epic. But we're talking about. Are we supposed to talk about ones that are in the game?
No, it's fine. No, the Galactus is good. That we'll talk to Freud about your ego there.
Yeah. Extreme bonus points if you can take down Galactus, right? Yeah.
Yeah. A good one.
Why is he like hard or something?
Yeah, I mean, he just eats planets, whatever.
No, that's whatever. Yeah.
We did see a half-second snippet of him in the Fantastic Four movie trailer. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Looks really cool.
Wasn't he in the same movie that ended up with Tiamat in the Indian Ocean? Who is that?
That was the Celestial.
Let's
Okay.
go.
Which is different. Okay.
They're both big,
similar.
gigantic things, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But, yeah.
Maybe I should read more.
You're an English teacher. You don't need to read.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't
you
need
need
to
to
read.
read for it. You're doing English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped reading in the 18th century. So, all right. So you've got to have some, minions around there at FFG for you. What part of your job, Aaron, would you most like to have your evil little minions do for you?
Probably time tracking. Yeah. Not that takes very long to do, but that's the most tedious thing we do probably.
What does that mean exactly, time tracking?
Just putting down how many hours you spent on which tasks every week. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just so they can see which product goes where. And I think that's
I see.
more relevant to me because I have often been splitting my time between two games.
Sure.
I like I said, jack of all trades. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's an interesting way of doing clock punching. Okay.
I mean, there's also art brief writing takes a lot of our time away from development, but I don't mind that because that's still fun to try and imagine, what would make a cool card art. Yeah.
So who in the office is the peskiest hero?
I think Molly Glover, our intrepid producer.
Molly.
She's the one to step forward whenever anything is wrong. She's always the one to notice errors or whatnot. So she's entirely too eagle-eyed to let the heroes continue to have access to. I think, yeah.
I like that answer.
Okay. All right, so you have the Infinity Gauntlet. Use it for good, for ill. What do you snap with? What do you do? What do you use that Infinity Gauntlet for?
I mean, good at first, for sure, right?
Okay.
But then like it's gonna corrupt you over time, right? If you can have anything you want to at any instant, that corrupts everybody, right?
Yeah, that's true. All right, so it gives you an infinite supply of something. What do you need? Can't say anything boring either, not like money or something, but tacos, those sorts of things.
Yeah, infinite supply of, yeah, probably like ribs.
Ribs. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Barbecue ribs. Okay.
Barbecue ribs.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
That's
assuming
good.
it also prevents heart disease. Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. You don't
Sure.
gain any weight. They're calorie free. In fact, you lose
Yeah.
weight when you eat them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a reality. Jab in there. You're fine. Yep. Okay.
Why don't you close us up, Scott?
All right. So Aaron, if you had your own comic run, who would be your nemesis? And would you be like a lone wolf type in your comic run where it really just focuses on you facing off against, different entities, or would you be part of like a group comic? And if so, what group would you join?
uh, this isn't completely hypothetical for me because my dad and I used to play this card game called the Wildstorm TCG. I don't know if any of you played that.
Never heard of it.
Old TCG. And there was like a ad in Wizard magazine or something like that, probably, where you could send in and have your own custom card made. So my dad had me a custom card made for the Wildstorm TCG when I was like 12 years old, and it's like, an Image Comics game mostly that talks about it's mostly about like the Wildcats and stuff like that. So that my like character name for that was Lynx. Yeah, like the cat. So I would
That's
probably
amazing.
be a martial artist, chubby 12-year-old kid named Lynx, and I'd probably be part of the Wildcats. That's my closest thing to a canonical comic book appearance that I already have. Yeah.
Wow.
Wonderful. And so who would your nemesis be?
Ooh, who is Lynx's nemesis? Um,
Clearly a dog.
yeah.
Neighbor's dog. Yeah.
A straight-laced businessman dog. Yeah. Square dog. Yeah.
Square dog.
I have to say, your dad read
Sounds
you.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, read you comics for bedtime stories. He makes a custom card for you in some card game that you play. Kudos to
I know.
Dad. Yeah,
He's the best.
He's a quality nerd right there. So
That's
Yeah.
right.
And raised you right, clearly.
yeah, here you are making card games for us. So, well, Aaron, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Is there anything else we need to know? Is there anything else you want to tell the people out there listening about yourself or the game or anything that we've missed?
No, just that I am having a ball. I think we're really firing on all cylinders now that there's 3 of us. So I'm really excited for our designs to actually get out there. So yeah, I'll have to come back when I can actually talk about the new stuff. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Anytime you want to come back, we'll definitely have you on again for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
One last time, Aaron, thank you so much. Thank you, FFG, for producing the game, letting you come on, and having a great time with us. Scott, if the people out there want to get a hold of us, how are they going to do it?
Well, you can email us at criticalencounterspod@gmail.com. We are also Critical Encounters on Facebook. You can find our YouTube, Twitch, or Patreon by searching for Critical Encounters Podcast. And on Discord, we are Vardan, Big Film Loaf, and Lexicon. If you like our show, tell your friends. If you don't like our show, tell your enemies. Magneto, take us out.
The time for subtlety is passing. Now is the time for change.
Scott, I think this was your 4th show with us as a elite minion.
I think it
Wow.
was.
This is your final, yeah.
I think this is my final episode. So it's going out with a bang.